the difference between being like a bartender and being a nanny? Like, what did you get out of it?
Bartender is fun. It's fast paced and like great. Like bartending's fun. Bartending makes a lot of money, but gives me no sort of fulfillment. If anything, made me feel less fulfilled than working with the children, and leads you to have to get behind it too. Like you can't tell your little 4-year-old like we need to do a mitzvah if like you don't believe in like that it's good to do a mitzvah.
What you gain from this is this kind of lifestyle that the kids were living. I mean, a mitzvah is going to elevate you on some level. It's going to make you into a more complete person on some level. And I
Yeah.
guess you can't separate the two. Like when you're teaching that to the kids and you're telling them, okay, let's do a mitzvah, you can't separate that from yourself. It's
That's why when I came across your page on Instagram, and I really did need to have a positive mindset, looking for fulfillment, having that mitzvah mindset, what concepts that really helped me stay focused in my day to day was filling all of my free time with the kids, which
can you share a little bit more about what you were going through?
I was in grad school, which was an extremely stressful time in general. Found myself completely trapped in a situation where I was depending on somebody in my life, emotionally attached to this person who I thought was the only person who I loved and could love me. I was sitting in my car bawling my eyes out or trying to put my phone away because I was dealing with like horrible text messages from like the kids loved me. Every picture that came home like was for me. Like all the crafts we did, like
Through this situation where you're getting this really negative, really hypercritical input, and it could really break someone when they're in those kinds of relationships for sure. I worked a lot with those kinds of relationships in counseling in the past. And then you had these kids that infused you with a new life, that gave you that positive and actually were unconditionally loving and saying things that were true, right? Everything they said was true, but you needed to hear it. And you knew it was true because kids are authentic.
kids are authentic and
Yeah.
kids don't lie. If I have an ugly outfit on, they're gonna tell me like that outfit's ugly. And I'm like, thank you, girl, so much. Like I won't wear it again.
Your trajectory was such a healthy trajectory because you saw you were in a bad place. You saw you needed support. You had families around you that were supporting you and giving you positive input, especially the kids. And you created this foundation for yourself that was sturdy, that were around people that were better for you, being around families that were healthier for you, that infused you with
Yeah.
love and infused you with happiness. And then you kind of integrated all of the values that you were learning into your life.
I went through a few therapists, and I think one of the issues was like, I'm a person, and I think it's very important in therapy that you need to align with whoever you're doing like life coaching or like
For
relationship
sure.
coaching or therapy with, in the sense that like I had therapists just basically say to me, oh, well, like that relationship's abusive and like you should just leave. And I was like,
Right.
okay, well, like it's not that easy. And like you approach it, which is like exactly how you do. And that's, oh, well, like these are the steps to do so. And like this is the foundation where I'm coming from. You also know that like we have similar like backgrounds and mindsets. Then it like makes it way easier for like me and to trust and understand like where you're coming from, and then I feel like apply it to my life because I feel like, oh, there's a reason for you saying those things. And that kind of, with Judaism, I feel like there's a reason for everything. That's what I've learned. Like everything I look at to this day, I'll be like, is this like for a Jewish reason? Like, oh, are they washing their fruit this way for a reason with halacha, like
The point isn't that you should become Jewish. The point is that you see the value behind it. And it's very different than pleasure, right? Because
very different. The way I would enjoy maybe like pleasure would be like eating a really nice meal at a really nice restaurant. Like that's pleasure. But like the way I would describe joy is like sometimes joy is like exhausting. Like when I'm with the kids all day, like I'm pretty exhausted at the end of the day, but I'm so full. People could view Judaism as like that's such an exhausting mindset. That's so exhausting to have to do all those rules and laws. Actually, just living more mindful, like what I always like to say. If you all feel very full, having that like trust and understanding of like why things are the way they are. And maybe you
yeah,
don't always have the answers, but that was really helpful for me during all my struggles to have that.
yeah.
Every single situation is different, but I found it very interesting that I was somebody coming from a relationship that was considered emotionally abusive, whatever you want to call it, very toxic. And a lot of people describe the Jewish religion and culture as that as well. But I was so lost that like I was explaining my relationship to these Jewish mothers and they were like the ones telling me like, Adriana, like that's not okay. Like you are so much better than that. Like so loved by us. If you need any type of money or a place to stay or anything, they offered me so much like love and acceptance. And they also at this time did explain to me some of the questions I had, like about shadels and modesty and sneeze, like, oh, and are you forced to dress that way? Does your husband make you? Is it, is it a rule? And then they explained to me, like, no, this is not how we feel. We feel, and obviously it's different in every single community, I'm sure, and every single family as well. But they were saying, we're very happy to dress sneeze and we're very happy to wear a shadel. We don't find it as a sense of like oppression or abuse, none of that. And would you coach somebody like me differently and with different understandings than somebody who was maybe very, very orthodox? So maybe an issue that maybe came at hand was like they came to you and was saying that they were having a disagreement in their relationship and they were feeling a certain way. Like how exactly would you maybe go about that? Obviously,
We all have universal needs and we all have universal struggles. And so to me, I mean, I actually have worked with a non-Jewish population for years. And so for me, a human is a human is a human. Instagram, I actually talk about how to argue effectively. Universal skills,
yeah.
how to argue effectively without becoming, like you said, abusive, and how to get your needs met in a way where, the person can hear you. All learn and tools that we could develop.
Like watching videos like short blurbs like that you post. Therapy is not only just about yourself, is what I've learned as well. The most healing thing for me in therapy, from for multiple people in my life, who not just focusing all on yourself, it's about, I feel like, understanding the people who hurt you as well. So but that's why I follow a lot of pages like yours, and I try to kind of keep that constant like mindset of understanding others, so that way I don't have like negative energy in my day-to-day life. So whether it be like somebody drives like a maniac, somebody's so rude to me at the Trader Joe's, maybe even a kid is having a bad day, able to understand like, okay, like why did they act that way?
You don't deserve to be treated poorly, but at the same time, they have their whole journey that they've gone through. And I mean, in Judaism, we call it being dad makaf, like giving people the benefit of the doubt.
I think I was at a point in my life where I was sometimes just as bad as the person that hurt me and I was with, like I got into such a dark, deep, like depressive place that I also was like, I hate this person and like I hate my life. Kids like seeing their innocence and acceptance like to me and just anything in their life sometimes, like that really did teach me like I should have more of that mindset. And like I try to explain to my kids, maybe not to hurt their feelings. Oh, I didn't get invited to so and so's birthday party. Like we all know there's a million reasons why that could have happened, but I try to say
Yeah,
to them like, hey, well, you know what? Like honestly, maybe they just didn't even think about it. It's not that they meant to purposely not invite you, but people are so busy on their birthday that like they didn't even think about it and they probably just were so busy and no, next party you'll probably go. And like
I love that.
you have to sometimes have that mindset with yourself. Oh, when that person was so rude or when that person was like cutting me off, they were probably just like texting on their phone, like, or like, ordering some off Amazon and they didn't even think about it because they were just being selfish, and
Yeah, and I think that the piece here that's so important is not to take things
person.
personally if it's possible. If it's
Yeah,
possible.
it's very
Because when we
hard.
don't take things personally, then we could actually be a little bit more objective about the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, and that was, when I was obviously with a person who did want to personally, we did have personal issues. It was very sweet to like have the kids think, like I said
Yeah,
before, they thought I was like the best thing ever. And so it was like sweet that it was like, oh my gosh, like, they think I'm so
yeah,
funny or I'm so silly, they like that makes them smile. So it makes you just want to like work harder for them because like their
yeah.
happiness is like everything in their world.
Just get caught up in their joy. That's the thing about kids is that they're so in the moment. In therapy, we talk about mindfulness and being in the here and now. that's what kids do, and that's one of
Yeah.
the joys of being with kids is they're so mindful, they're so in the moment.
And
We
they
try to do that as adults, but kids do it so well.
and they're very mindful, and they don't even have to think about being mindful when it comes to kosher rules, unlike myself, where I have to be very mindful of not making any mistakes. But they obviously have the luckiness of they just know exactly it's ingrained, and I'm like, that's so
It's
crazy.
in their baby food, as we say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Given to by
yeah.
their non-Jewish nanny, so but kosher.
Right, 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 right.
Well, I'm so happy like I found your page, and I really hope that everyone enjoyed this interview, and I'm really happy that anybody who did tune in was here to kind of I feel like just know me from a different side on a more personal level,
And be inspired by you
and
because
I mean, and
you are
also you.
inspiring.
So, Ariella, I'll definitely still keep like following your page and keep posting the little blurbs. They literally help me calm down, and they come up on seriously, I feel like the best moments of my day. So, I'm super happy I found you. And everybody, if you do not already follow Ariella, you should definitely follow her page. It's very inspiring, very insightful, and I highly recommend it for anybody who maybe needs someone to pop up on their screen and tell them to be a little bit more mindful, a little bit more understanding of the
And
situation.
I try to keep it short.
Yep.
I don't wanna bore anyone.